If you're training your core like a 90s gym rat, but you want to move better or fix your back, this video is your wake-up call. Most people try to strengthen the core the same way they would train a six-pack for aesthetics, using crunches, planks, and sit-ups, but they're missing the function of the core. Core's job is to stiffen, stabilize, and control movement. It's a transmission, not an engine. It's less about movement from the core and more about controlling and transferring force. Reach! Most people want a strong and stable core, but really don't understand how it works. And if you don't understand how it works, you're not going to train it correctly. So that's why I developed a roadmap for core training called the Core ABCs. Core ABCs: alignment, breathing, control. This is a simple principle that gives us the guiding light of how to train the core properly, because when you follow the core ABCs, or at least the exercises you choose follows the core ABCs, then it's a good core exercise. If the exercise doesn't follow the core ABCs, then it might not be the best core exercise. So let's succinctly go over the core ABCs and then show you how it's applied to a couple different exercises, something on the ground and then something on 2 feet. So that way you can start applying this principle to your exercises in core training. First is alignment, and we'll need a stick for this as like an alignment stick. And we need to go A, B, C in an order because one falls after the other. If we don't have alignment, we're not going to get proper breathing for stability. If we don't do that, we're not going to control well. So we'll get into that in a moment. So we need a stick first. And alignment really is more of is spinal alignment, or rib cage over pelvis, sometimes called neutral spine. There's different terms for it too. But quite simply, all it is that when I'm in, say, like a semi-bent or a squat-like position, I want a relatively neutral position, meaning I'll have a normal curve in my spine or my neck, normal curve in my mid-back, and also a normal little curve in my low back. I should have a little space where my neck is, a little space where my back is. Some people might have a bigger one, some people might be relatively flat, because neutral is different and dependent on the person, and neutral is not just one spot, neutral is gonna be a range. Let me show you, right? So if I'm here, I'm relatively neutral. If I'm here, I'm not. If I'm here, I'm definitely not, and this is where a lot of people tend to falter, is overarching, where we're disconnected in the rib cage and pelvis, which a lot of terms for this. I like calling it J-Lo booty, because it makes sense, but open scissors position, anterior pelvic tilt, blah, blah, blah. So the problem with this position, even though if you're squatting or deadlifting, it might protect your back, is that it creates undue compression, extension, and tension in your low back, and can become a long-term chronic issue. Loss of power, increased injury, a lot of issues with it. So very simply, to get out of that, we just need to tuck our tailbone and get neutral. Obviously, don't want to be over neutral into a plumber butt position. That's too much. That exposes your back too much. I mean, it's not inherently bad, but we probably don't want to lift super heavy that way. So not J-Lo, not plumber, somewhere in between is typically your neutral. Now, how do you know? It's not necessarily just based on looks. Really, for me, this right here is no different, if you watch closely, than this versus this or versus this. There's a range there, but how you ultimately know if you are neutral is your breath. So we're gonna go into that spot next. B is breathing. Yes, if you're watching this, you're breathing, you're alive, you win, right? Me too. I don't mean breathing for oxygenation, I mean breathing for lumbopelvic or core stability, spinal stability. And that is through using your diaphragm muscle to breathe, where your diaphragm drops down, your abdomen expands, it coordinates with your pelvic floor, and it creates pressure called intra-abdominal pressure. That intra-abdominal pressure is what stiffens your spine, which your spine is the anchor point from where your arm and leg muscles pull from. So your arm and leg muscles will only work as well as how much you can stiffen and stabilize here, and that happens through your breath. There's more detail I can go into, but I'm going to keep it as simple as possible. A great way to do this is a Core360 belt. These are awesome. I'd recommend getting one. If you don't have one, you can just take a normal exercise band and you can tie it around your waist like a karate belt, and typically that works because you can feel your expansion. But I'm using the Core360 belt because it's better, and I have one. So I'm going to throw this sucker on, and it has knobs here in the front, and then two half circles or knobs in the back here. And what this does, it helps me feel 360-degree breathing. So not only do I want to be able to breathe in my stomach down here and not just up in the chest, I want to be able to expand in my back as well. So if you, first and foremost, you want to just be able to breathe here. So if you watch, I'm going to try and breathe low instead of high. High looks like this, and low looks like this. Here, let me switch hands. High and low, right? But it's not just belly breathing. This is the hard part, is we want 360-degree breathing. Watch me closely here. I can just belly breathe without moving here. Ready? However, for core stability, it's not nearly as effective as doing this. Watch closely. The second one, I'm getting 360-degree expansion. I'm maximizing intra-abdominal pressure, and that intra-abdominal pressure is stiffening and stabilizing my spine, right? So how do I know if I'm in proper alignment? It's your breath, right? So if I grab that alignment stick again, I can grab this here, and if I go in neutral, which I know where that is, I can breathe fully into the belt. If I arch a little bit, I can still breathe fully in the belt. If I arch a little bit more, it's a little harder. If I heavy arch, like big old J-Lo booty, my breath is very shallow and I cannot expand here in the back at all. I can do the front, but not the back. So that is not proper alignment because my breath is impaired. If I get back to neutral or a neutral alignment, if I breathe, I can fill it up. Now I can do it here as well. However, this position is not a great stacked position, and it's one we want to avoid with heavy lifting. There's reasons to flex. Flexing is not bad, but you probably wouldn't want it, not the best idea to do if you're lifting heavy weight. So training neutral is ideal. We're able to move out of neutral as human beings, but the better we control neutral, the more resilient we will be outside of neutral. That's a key point there. And then lastly is control. Control's simple. It's just controlling movement. Whether it's lying on your back like a dead bug and doing something like this, you want to be in proper alignment, back flat, not a huge arch. You can be hands and knees, same thing. We don't need a huge arch or a big round. We want to be more neutral. If we're in a half kneeling position, not hyper arch, not rounded, more stacked and neutral. If we're in a squat position, not hyper arched, not rounded like a plumber butt, stacked, neutral, and powerful. So the control part is just really applying it to whatever you want to do, and can you align and breathe through it. Now control can get more complex with a lot of different knobs to turn, whether it's weight, frequency, duration, cadences. There's a lot of different variables there, but that's for another time. Now that you've got the concept of core ABCs, let's apply it to a couple things. We're going to do a baby move like a dead bug, or call a 3-month or 5-month position, and it's a developmental move a la DNS or dynamic neuromuscular stabilization principles. And this is a great way to start training core ABCs. First, we'll start in this lying position here, and we're going to go alignment. We're going to arch and flatten, arch and flatten. Notice when you flatten, rib cage and pelvis comes together. Hold this position. Next step is bring the legs up into a 90-90-90 position, or dead bug people call it. In this position, notice if I'm on my feet, it's like the bottom of a squat. So this carries over into the squat, our next exercise, pretty well. Now, some people have a hard time holding this position and keeping the back flat, especially when you add leg movement. If you do, grab a towel, place it behind under your back, because then you can actively feel pushing your back into the towel. It's nice sensory feedback. You can also use a band. A band is a little bit more dramatic, but if you place a band underneath your back and hold this position, the band won't snap away. If I let it go, band snaps away. Okay. After you have alignment, next is simply just breathing. Take your hands, put it on your belly here, and hold and breathe. And hold position. If you have a really hard time breathing into your belly or into your sides and you're only up into your chest, just put the legs down and try it here first. Work on just trying to breathe low into your belly, and then once you've got this position here, you can add dead bug motion like heel taps, like this, reaching overhead, but you need to breathe and also control the movement and keep the back neutral in alignment. I've got a great video for that right somewhere in the corner of this video. Okay, we had the baby position. Now we're gonna do the adult position on 2 feet because our goal is not to be a big baby. So let's apply that same dead bug into a squat. So first I'm gonna start seated like a box squat. And to get alignment, all we're gonna do is J-Lo booty and plumber butt a few times, and you'll stop at halfway in between. That's your stacked neutral. You can check it, your breathing with your Core360 belt, your fingers or a band. I'm gonna breathe here. All right, I know I have now good positioning here, and very simply, now that I have that, I just squat. Now I don't have any weight here, so I don't need to breathe and brace. I can just breathe through it. If you hear my nose here, I'm just breathing through it. Now if I do something heavy, right, I might, this is not heavy enough, but I might want to breathe and brace, where I go, but regardless, I can only do that with alignment and breathing. Obviously, it was different levels of control, weight versus no weight, but I had to align and breathe appropriately in order to execute the motion. There you have it. That's the Core ABs, the super simple way to train your core functionally with the methodology or principles that work. If you're done wasting time on core routines that don't translate to real and sustainable results, and you're sick of piecemealing it by trying to find a bunch of videos on YouTube or the internet, then check out the Reach Core Strength and Stability course. I have it right in the caption, and there's a link there for a little discount. Check that out, get your core stronger, fix your back, move better, feel better, and do your best, and perform better. Stick around in the next video where I tackle alignment even further with some detail and some follow along, because you can't build a strong core on a crooked foundation.